Hey guys, what's up? I'm Jody with Board Game Perspective. So today we're taking a look at a game sent to us by AEG, and that's Istanbul, which plays 2 to 5 players. So in this game you will be playing as merchants who are trying to be the first ones to collect a certain number of rubies. And you'll also be sending out your assistants throughout the district of Istanbul, who will be trying to fill up their wheelbarrows with goods and transporting them to various destinations. So let's see how this game is played. Alrighty, so let's go over the setup. So there are a bunch of different tiles, but you're going to arrange these in different orders. And if you look at on the upper left hand corner, there's different numbers here. This pretty much just gives you different ways to lay out the tiles. So they recommend the first time you play to sort them by the middle one, the blue. So I've got this at 1, 2, and that's how you're going to set up for the first time. So you're going to set the tiles out in a 4x4 grid in that pattern I just showed you. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. Next we're going to sort out the mosque tiles and place them in the small mosque and the great mosque. And you will just see it'll be the corresponding color and symbols here. Now, depending on what player count you're playing with, you might have to take some of these out. So for instance, I've got this set up for a 3-player game. So in a 3-player game, you're going to be taking out the one that has the 5 symbols up top. That's going to be the cost. And then you'll have the stack in the order where it's 2, then 3, and then 4. And then of course in this 3-player game, we take out the 5s. And so you're going to do the same thing for all 4 of these stacks. And then you're going to put in the corner here, the spot for the rubies, you're going to put 1 ruby per player in these corners here. And then you'll get these neutral color cubes. These are the mail indicators you'll put on the top row in these spaces here at the post office. And then at the Wainwright, you are going to be placing, again, 1 ruby per player. And then these wheelbarrow extensions, you're going to put 3 per player, so I've got 9 here. Now for the Sultan's Palace, you're going to be placing rubies all in these spots here, leading up to the player count that you're playing with. So this is a 2-3 player spot, so I covered this, and then you'll leave all of these open. And the same concept applies to the gemstone dealer. You put rubies in all these places up into the player count of 3 here, and then you leave the rest open. And then we've got to fill up the large market and the small market with demand tiles. So the large market will take the dark ones, you're going to shuffle these up and place them in that spot, and the same goes for here. And then you're going to determine the starting place for the governor and smuggler by rolling the dice. So I rolled an 8 here, so you're going to find the 8 tile, and you're going to place one of them there. And then you'll do it, oops, yet again. Well, I'm just messing everything up here, but oh well, that still shows a 7, so I place the other one here. Then you're going to shuffle the bonus cards and place them in a deck on the side, as well as supply of coins, and each player puts one of their assistants over on the side as well. Now each player will get their own wheelbarrow and of their color different tokens, these good indicators you'll put on the far left spots here. And then each player will grab their family member as well as their merchant disc, which is the one with the face. And then you have all these assistants as well. And then each player will get a player aid, and you will randomly choose a start player, which blue was chosen, and the start player gets 2 lira. And then depending on the next person, so the third player would get just 1 more, so 3 lira, and so on. And then each player will also get a bonus card. And everybody will place their merchant and their 4 assistants at the fountain location, and then everybody will also place their family members on the police station to start. So in this game, you'll be taking turns back and forth, and the first player that's collect 5 rubies on their wheelbarrow will trigger the end of the game. But in a 2-player game, you have to collect 6. So after first person has filled up their wheelbarrow, you'll finish that current round, and then the game is over. So let's do a quick overview of your turn. So now your turn is going to consist of 4 phases. So the general overview, you got movement, then you'll do encounters with other merchants, if any, and then you'll take your action, and then lastly you'll do encounters, and if you have any encounters, in the order of family members first, then the governor, then the smuggler. Alrighty, so let's go over the different phases in a little more detail. So first we have the movement. So you're going to grab your merchant with your stack of assistants, and you can move this 1 or 2 places. So I could go here, or just one place. Now you cannot, however, move diagonally. So you can't go from here to here. It would have to be through this and then this. So wherever you land, you have to either pick up an assistant that's already there of yours or leave an assistant behind. So say I wanted to move 2 places to here, then I did not already have an assistant on this tile, so I would have to leave one of my assistants behind like this. And then I would take the action, and then next turn I could, keep going and so on. Now let's go over the other examples. So let's say we already have an assistant at this location. So let's say I moved into this location on my turn. Since there's one there, I would put this on top of that assistant and pick up that assistant. So I will now have an additional assistant to move with next turn. And lastly, for movement, if you cannot or do not want to pick up an assistant or leave one behind, then your turn will end immediately. So if I moved here, I could not drop off an assistant because all I have is my merchant, and there wasn't one to pick up, so my turn would end immediately. So after movement, you're going to resolve any encounters with other merchants. So let's say I had moved here, drop off an assistant, and then I have an encounter with another merchant. So what you have to do is you have to pay 2 lira to this player. Now if you cannot or do not want to pay the 2 lira to this other player, then your turn will end immediately. Now another important thing to note is at the fountain, this is the only location where you don't have to pay 2 lira if you end up on this spot. So if you end up at the fountain, you would not have to pay this player 2 lira. After resolving encounters with other merchants, you will then take the action of the location you are at. And we'll go into more detail in a little bit about all the different locations' actions. And after taking the action, you will then resolve any encounters you might have with family members, the governor, or the smuggler. So first, you got to go in order. So first, you start with the family member. So for instance, right here, we ended our move on this fabric warehouse, and there happened to be the red player's family member. So whenever this happens, you send their family member to the police station, and then you can take either a bonus card or 3 lira from the supply. And you can do this for each family member you send. So if there happen to be 2 other family members there and you sent both of them, you could take, you could get 6 lira if you wanted, or 2 bonus cards, or any combination you would like. If you end your movement on the location where the governor is at, this allows you to take a bonus card from the supply and add it to your hand. Now if you add it to your hand, you have to either pay 2 lira or discard 1 bonus card, and whenever you discard bonus cards, they are put up, face up in the caravanserai location. Now if you end your movement on the location where the smuggler is at, this allows you to take any good of your choice. So on your wheelbarrow, you can move up any good indicator. Now in order to do that though, you have to either pay 2 lira or pay another good. So basically you're kind of swapping out goods if you do that. So if you had used the ability of the governor or the smuggler, then you have to put them at a new location, and you do that by rolling these 2 dice. So I rolled a 7, and you will put this at the large brown number 7. So for instance, this one is the large brown 7, so now the smuggler goes there. So on your turn, you can also play any number of bonus cards that you might have in your hand, and there is no limit, so you can have any number that you would like as well. So there are multiple kinds of bonus cards, but we're just going to go over a couple in this example because there are detailed rules in the rule book about each bonus card. So if you were to get this one, this would just simply mean take 5 lira from the supply, and this one would mean in the first phase of your turn, you're going to return one of your assistants back to your merchant stack. Alright, so now let's go over all the different actions you can take at these different locations. So first we're going to start with the Wainwright. So here, if you go here, you can pay 7 lira to grab one of these extensions, which you will add to your wheelbarrow. Now if you have added your third extension, so it's all filled up, then you can take 1 ruby and place it on your player board on the first ruby spot that's open. Next is the Fabric Warehouse. This allows you to max out your goods for the certain good depicted here. So here it says I can max out that one, so I can move my good indicator all the way up to max out that. Next is the Spice Warehouse. Same concept here. It allows you to max out this good, so you would just move your good indicator all the way up for that one. And then we have the Fruit Warehouse where you can max out your fruits. So you grab your good indicator and max it out. Next up is the post office. Here you will be collecting all the resources that is uncovered. So here I would take this good and 2 lira, and also this good. After you've done that, then you're going to move the leftmost cube down to the next level. So then the next player that goes there will get this good and these 3 things. And then you would keep moving these cubes down. And then once all of them are down like this, then they would get all reset back up and you would start over. If you go to the Caravansary, you will take 2 bonus cards and you will only keep 1 and you'll discard the other. And remember, whenever you discard bonus cards, it gets placed here. So only when you go here, you can also take your bonus cards from this pile here. So you could draw from the main deck and or here. Now we are at the fountain. This is where you can collect all of your assistants again. So if you go here, then you'll gather all your assistants across all the different tiles and return them to the merchant stack. Now we're at the black market. So first you're going to take a resource that you want out of these 3. So we'll just take a fruit resource. And then you're going to roll the 2 dice. So let's say I rolled a 9 there. So this shows if you rolled a 9 or a 10, you'll then take 2 of these blue resources. So I would move up twice here. Now if I had rolled 11 or 12, you can gain 3, 7 or 8, you gain 1, and if you have 6 or below, you don't get anything. So the tea house is a place where you can get more lira. So what you're going to do is you're going to announce a number between 3 and 12, then you're going to roll both dice, and if you roll equal to or greater than the announced number, you'll take the announced number of lira from the general supply. Otherwise, you only take 2 lira. So let's do an example. So let's say I'm going to call out 5, and then I roll the dice here, and I got a 10. So this is greater than or equal to 5, so I can take 5 lira from the supply. So next up is the large market and the small market. These are pretty much the exact same thing. They work the same way. It's just that you'll have some different tiles and different amounts of money you can get. So let's do an example. Let's go at the small market here. So what you can do is turn in these depicted resources to get lira. So let's take a look at what we have at our wheelbarrow here. So we have some fruit, some green, and some blue. So I can turn, this will allow me to turn in 2 green. I only have 1, so I'll just turn in one green. Then I can also turn in a yellow. I have 1 yellow, so I will turn that one in. So we're at 2 goods so far. A red one, which I don't have any red, so I can't do that one. And then I can also turn in 1 blue, so I will turn in 1 blue. So in total, I turned in 3 goods, which would then let me get 9 lira. If you go to the police station, this allows you to free your family member. So what you can do now is put your family member on any other tiles. Let's just say I'm going to put it at the fruit warehouse. And then you can take out that corresponding location's action. Now, it's important to know, however, that family members never get caught with or never have any encounters. The Sultan's Palace is a way to get more rubies. So what you're going to do is you have to pay the cost and resources all the way up until the first ruby that is available. So for me to do that, I have to turn in all these goods. So I have to turn in a blue, red, green, yellow. So blue, red, green, and a yellow. And then the last one is one of any resource. So I'll turn in my last yellow. That allows me to take the next ruby and add it to my wheelbarrow. And now the next time someone comes here, it costs more goods. The gemstone dealer is another example where you can get rubies. So what you're going to do is you're going to pay in lira the biggest number, so closest to the rubies, so that would be 14. So I'd have to pay 14, turn that into the supply, and then I could take the next leftmost ruby and add it to my wheelbarrow. And now next time someone goes there, it's going to be more expensive. It'll be 15. Now the small mosque is a way to get some of these mosque tiles. Now in order to grab this one, for instance, I would have to, my wheelbarrow would have to carry 2 of these goods, and then I would only have to pay 1 in order to get this. So I can carry 2 goods of that type, and I pay 1, and then I can take this tile and add it to my personal play area. And then the next one, for the next player that comes and gets it, requires more goods that you can carry in your wheelbarrow. If you have 1 of each of these mosque tiles, then you can immediately grab a ruby and add it to your wheelbarrow. And the Great Mosque is the exact same concept as the small mosque. The only difference are these mosque tiles provide different benefits. So now let's go over what all these 4 different mosque tiles actually can do. So the red tile is at the tea house and the black market. You may turn 1 die to 4 after the roll, or re-roll both dice 1 time. And then we have the green tile, which is when using one of the 3 warehouses. You may pay 2 lira to get an additional good of any type. And then the blue tile is immediately take your 5th assistant from this general supply and put him under your merchant. And lastly, the yellow tile is once on your turn, you may pay 2 lira to return an assistant to your merchant stack. So the first player to collect 5 rubies in your wheelbarrow will trigger the end of the game. And like I mentioned earlier, for a 2-player game, you have to collect 6 rubies. When this happens, you're going to complete the current round. And then each player may use his leftover bonus cards that might provide goods or money, because this might matter in the tiebreaker. Now, if there's a tie with whoever has the most rubies, ties are going to be broken in the following order. Whoever has the most lira, most leftover goods on the wheelbarrow, and then lastly, most leftover bonus cards. And I'll also point out in the back of the rulebook, there is a variant for 2 or 4 players that you can do, and also variations for place tile layouts that you will place out at the beginning of the game. Alright, so that is Istanbul. So go ahead and leave a comment down below and let us know what you think about the game and if you have any questions. And as always, if you want to help us out, you can hit that subscribe button, like, and tell the world about us. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching. And these are cool rubies.